SimCity, a city-building simulation game developed by Will Wright, ended up a really big success after being released in 1989. As a result, Wright developed another game with a much larger scope called SimEarth. In SimEarth, you essentially control the development of a planet. Yeah, that is truly larger than the previous game. The game reached numerous platforms, eventually making its way to the TurboGrafx Super CD in 1993. In honor of Earth Day, I present a game that allows you to create, nurture, and even destroy a planet. Well, I guess that last one kind of goes against everything we should be doing, huh? Well, regardless, here is SimEarth, the Living Planet. SimEarth at first glance can be confusing, so luckily the manual is your friend and it is quite large. In fact, it begins with a nice tutorial on how to play, ending with, quote, "You are free to do whatever you like as long as it's within the rules." Rules? Who needs rules? Along with the manual, you will find another friend, good old Gaia.
Hello there!
Duh! Jeez, a little warning next time. Gaia will give you a history lesson on how the world evolved from prehistory to modern times. And you'll also find out what this game is all about.
Your planet's future is in your hands.
No pressure there. Before beginning play, you have 4 levels to choose from, ranging from an easy experimental mode, which gives you unlimited energy to do basically whatever you want, all the way up to a hard mode with much less energy allotted at the start. I would suggest playing on experimental to learn this game so you don't have to worry about running out of energy too fast. Next, you can choose from 8 different planets or scenarios. Each one is unique because they have different time scales, environments, and features. For example, if you start with Mars, it looks like this. Here, the goals of your gameplay are to terraform and colonize Mars so that humans can live there. How do I know this? Because when you start, Gaia pops up again and gives you a walkthrough of what you need to do. And grab a pencil. Or you can choose Aquarium, where you swim with the fishes, but you'll have to create continents so that a civilization can grow and advance there. Or you can choose Modern Day Earth. Well, it's in 1992, Modern Day Earth, where you have to solve all of our war, famine, and pollution problems. I guess it isn't much different from today. If you choose random, every game will be different from the one before, and you can select different timescale options. The amount of depth in this game is quite large. What you see here is basically your view of the entire game, unless you select the different viewing options. While the depth is great, the game itself is a little plain. Visually, it all looks a bit dated these days for sure, but I guess it's a product of its time. Overall, there is loads of color, and the small characters and items on the maps are well defined. But don't spin this game up if you're looking for a visual treat. The game's controls are pretty simple, with the directional key moving the cursor around the screen. Button 1 starts an action, and button 2 cancels a command. The select button cycles around the main screens. It's all pretty basic as it tries to mimic computer mouse controls. It doesn't work too bad, but I have to admit, and maybe I'm being way too picky here, there seems to be a titch of a delay when moving the cursor and even clicking, at least more so than in other computer to turbo pad conversions. So anyway, back to Mars. Here we'll begin by digging some holes. We'll use some comets to make a little room. Then we'll get a little greenhouse effect going and scatter some animals around. That sounds fair. By the way, if this description so far doesn't sound fun to you, then I think it's fair to just move on. I mean, get used to this kind of gameplay because it's the entire game and it's a long one. How do you create all this stuff? Well, if you study the display screen, you can see icons that you'll need to use. On the left are edit buttons, which include life tools. Here you can place life forms, cities, and for Mars and Venus, terraformers onto the planet. The disaster tools help to get things moving on your planet by using a destructive force for something catastrophic. Yeah! You also have Biome Tools, but make sure you use them in suitable environments. And other simple icons for moving items around or examination. You also have system control buttons that ask Gaia for advice, show graph menus, and more. Again, study that manual. The planet's name, your current tool, and how much energy that tool will suck away from your available allotment is listed at the bottom. Yeah, don't go too crazy or this will happen. You also have display buttons as well. The music isn't horrible, but can be a bit repetitive, so you do have the option of turning it off. Oh, and you can save a game. However, it takes up a ton of space, so you basically need to have a completely clean backup drive. Jeez, what a hog. SimEarth relies on your patience and skill with these types of simulation games. Things on the planet happen in real time naturally as well, so every play is a bit different, and that's cool. Just don't kill everything or do a horrible job while being in charge, and it'll go fine. However, as you can tell, SimEarth is also a game that you can't just pick up and play without learning it. It's not always clear what is going on, and the slightly dated graphics don't help with this. I rented SimCity on the Super NES way back, and it was my first experience with these kinds of games. While they're not my cup of tea personally, I appreciated that one and had a good time with it. But I have to say that while I also appreciate SimEarth, it just never grabbed my attention. It's very satisfying to see things work out as you planned, but it's such a slog to get there. I can't deny that the game has a ton of stuff in it, no doubt. And I think if you're a fan of this type of genre, you will really like it. There is so much in this Super CD that I couldn't possibly dive into every subtle button to click or thing to do in the short window we have here on TurboViews. But I'd have to place this one in the Judge for Yourself category. Boom! Yeah. Yeah, you really don't want me in charge of your planet. I mean, you really don't. SimEarth is a good simulation game that has a ton of stuff packed into it. I'm not sure that it has aged all that well, but I think fans of this series will enjoy it, and the TurboGrafx edition of the game is a solid entry. In honor of Earth Day, I'd like to repeat a famous quote from Henry David Thoreau. What's the use of a fine TurboGrafx collection if you haven't got a tolerable planet to put it on?